Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Mom Talk Live. I'm so excited to be here with my mama friends tonight. Tonight, our topic is my life as a blended family. So I'm going to bring my special guest on right after this. Hello, ladies. How are you? How are you tonight?
Hi.
Hi, I'm great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm doing good. Thanks for having
Yes.
us.
Yes, so I'm so excited to get into this conversation. So before I do, I want to welcome everyone to another episode of Mom Talk Live. Again, our topic tonight is my life as a blended family. So if you have a blended family, then make sure you tune in. We want your questions, we want your comments. Go ahead and put those in the comment box, and we'll be able to bring those on the screen. And then, as well, if you know another mom who is maybe going to be entering into a blended family, just started, maybe she's in a blended family now, she's having some type of challenges, maybe she has some triumphs that she can share with us tonight. We want to hear from her as well. So please go ahead and share and tag another mom to join us. So Contessa, we'll start with you. If you can just introduce yourself to our audience tonight, and then tell us how many kids you have and what ages.
Okay, so my name is Contessa Castaneda. I have two children. I have a 13-year-old son named Nico, and I have a 10-year-old daughter named Ava. And I also have a bonus son. His name is CJ. He's also 13. And we've been a blended family going on 6 years now. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay. I'm excited to dive into that tonight. Corinthia, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I am Sarinthia Anderson Picant. I am the mom of a really rambunctious 4-year-old, and I'm also currently pregnant. And then I've been gifted
Oh.
with two bonus sons, Aiden and Cole, who are almost 13 and just turned 8. And we've been a blended family for about 5 years now.
Okay, so around the same amount of time. So cool. I love it. I love it. So congratulations to you first of all. So that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank
Amazing,
you.
amazing. So let's dive in, ladies. Let's talk about it. Well, before we do that, I have a quick question that I just want to ask. Just different questions I want to ask my moms when they get on. Before we dive into the blended family, tell me something unique or funny about the first time, like within the first week or two, when you brought your child home from the hospital. Maybe you had baby at home. They're doing that too. So tell me something like really unique that you remember from that time.
From the hospital?
From coming home, like what was something that was just like, this is a memory. Look, I'm gonna share mine. So while y'all thinking, I'm gonna share mine. So I remember with our oldest daughter, because first time being a mom, don't know what I'm doing. No practice. You kind of learn as you go on with the other ones, right? And so I remember, y'all, so nasty, but I'm still gonna share because it's like super memorable. I remember when I don't know if your kids had it, like the first like good poop where it's like so much and it doesn't. I mean, we put like 5 diapers, like we kept changing them out, and I was like, oh my god, like something's wrong. Like, why is it not stopping? I'm sure there's like some type of scientific thing around that. I don't know, but it was like forever and ever. It was like lava, and it just kept, like, I don't know why that's like memorable to me, because but I would never forget that. So when it happened with the other two kids, because I have 3 kids, so when it happened with the other two, I was like ready. I had them diapers there, the wipes and all that, and I was ready. So what you thinking? What's something unique or funny that happened within like the first 1 or 2 weeks?
Well, I'll go first. I remember when Nico came home from the hospital, he's a boy, and nobody really talks about changing diapers with boys and how you have to basically have like a shield. I should have at the time. We should have had these shield covers to cover your face because, boy, he gave me a surprise one time when I was changing his diaper, and it just got all everywhere in my face. Now with Ava, she's a girl, so I was expecting the same type of experience, and
Hmm.
I didn't have no issues with her, so she was fine. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty gross, and that was like realization like this mom stuff is gonna get kind of gross and hairy and sticky, and you just have to like get through it the best you can. So
All of that, all of that. Yes. You got one, Sarinthia? You thinking of one?
Yes. And so I think my daughter was probably about 4 weeks old at this time, but she had been
Mhm.
so fussy all day. She'd been crying. We tried everything. And so my husband was finally like, we're taking her to the emergency room. She wouldn't sleep. She would eat, but she would spit up. I mean, it was just like awful. Now, I'm a first time mom, and I was also 38 by this time. So I'm just like, where's the book? This wasn't in the book. Like, we've got to fix it. So luckily, the children's hospital was only a few miles from us. By the time we got there, she was knocked out. I mean, like snoring. And so we got in the hospital, and the doctor was really nice. It was now in hindsight, I know that she was probably thinking first time mom, bless her heart. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, no, something's wrong with my baby. Something is wrong with my baby. You got to fix my baby. I can't take her back home because this is how she's been acting. And so they literally give her Milacon, which is just for gas. She has like the biggest poop in the world, and she goes back to sleep. I think now I know that they probably kept us for observations because mama needed to take a nap and get her nerves calm, and then they discharged us. So that was like a really expensive poop for us. But yeah, but at least, we figured out what was going on. So that's probably like my most memorable moment. My husband and I laugh about it now.
Yeah, I remember being a first time mom, and we went to the doctor a lot, like for everything. Now it's like put a band-aid on it, you'll be all right. But I mean, we went like for everything because you read all the books, you watch the TV shows. I don't know if y'all remember, it was like I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a childbirth series. It was like supposed to be like real life. Do y'all remember that? And it would like document the moms before they went in and had their babies and stuff. So I watched all that because I had to watch everybody pregnancy and delivery because I knew that was just gonna tell me something about mine, but it was totally different anyways. So I did all of that, but still, I think based on what you said, the doctors and the nurses can tell like when you're a first time mom.
Yeah, yeah. I was like hysterical, and my baby was just like sleep and calm. And I'm like, look, something is wrong. Something's wrong. You got to fix it.
Yeah, yeah.
And just
Okay.
checking on your baby every second throughout the night because you're just trying to hear their breath. Are they breathing? Are
Yeah,
they okay?
yeah,
Looking, seeing if their body's moving, all of that, all of that. Look, we're gonna have to have an episode just for first time moms to be like, y'all not alone. We
Heck
understand.
yeah.
And one of the things I will say, and I know this is totally off topic, just to any of my first time moms that are watching, don't let anyone negate your feelings and what you're doing. Like if that causes you to have peace, then do the things because no matter who tells you, doctor tell you, books, your mom, all those people, right? It's still gonna bring a sense of peace when you do certain things, and so it's okay. Like we've been there, girl. We understand. So it is okay. Okay, so let's jump into the topic of the blended family. So I would like to ask you, and y'all can go in any particular order. Let's kind of kick it off with, did you feel nervous like going into it, or what was your thought process, or did you think it was going to be super easy but then it was challenging? Like talk about how it was from the beginning before going into it.
Well, I was blessed in many ways to have been raised in a blended family. And
Okay.
I'll say that my first set of bonus parents, my mom's husband, my father's wife, well, they transition on, and I got a new set, and they are like the best. I am friends with them to this day, and friends in the sense that I could call either one of them and ask them
That's
for,
awesome.
whatever I need. I actually just hung up with my bonus mom. And so going into my own family, I kind of had illusions of like grandeur and just um, maybe like unrealistic expectations for getting started with the blended family, in part
Mm-hmm.
because it had just been my experience. And even with the first round of bonus parents, I can honestly say as a child, I didn't experience any discomfort. I mean, as an adult, I can see things, but I didn't experience anything. So I expected my own family to just like naturally pop into place. And that
Mm-hmm.
did not necessarily happen. It didn't necessarily happen because in part I wasn't my authentic self, it's to the extent that I didn't establish boundaries, and I was willing to just kind of go with the flow for the sake of happiness. And now
Mm-hmm.
it took me a minute to step back and say, just as we manage our home when the bonus kids are not with us, we have to manage it when they are with us. And knowing that they're coming from two different backgrounds, two different sets of experiences,
Mm-hmm.
we have to really work to, number one, establish, some norms, some family norms, um,
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledge that there may be some transition time for the kids. But then also, the word for me has been grace in terms of building
I
relationships
love that.
with their moms. And I say that because my mother and my bonus mom talk. I mean, they just talk without me. They've been to each other's homes. And so I expected that, and that didn't happen, and I was disappointed, and I would get angry and frustrated. But I was watching Oprah. I was probably like in undergrad or grad school, and one
Oprah with the gems.
yes, Oprah with the gyms. I mean, like that was like what 20 plus years before I even became a bonus mom.
Mhm.
And I think it was Will and Jada Smith that were there, and they were talking about their blended family. And one of the things that was said was, in a blended family, you have to learn the mothers. You have to learn to love the mothers just like you love the children.
Mm,
Children learn children, and my takeaway from it is children love their parents to a fault, and when there's any sort of discomfort or tension, they feel that. And
yeah.
so it prompts me to always extend grace and to realize that I can be me, and we can also have family norms, but I also have to be patient and understand that it takes some time, and this is a process. So that's kind of been like my journey to where we are now. And every day we're evolving and growing because they're transitioning from the little kid stage to teenage stage now. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and we're welcoming a little one as well as having a teenager, and balancing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. I'm gonna come back to some of the things you mentioned because I have a few questions. But Contessa, tell us, like, how was it before you went in? Like, what was your expectations, and then what did the expectations come out to be true?
Well, I think for me, my parents got divorced when I was very young, 2 years old. But I didn't really have a blended family scenario growing up, so I really didn't know what to expect. In
Mm-hmm.
my head, as well as Sarinthia mentioned, you picture this perfect blended family coming together like the Brady Bunch, and like everything is miraculously going to come together, and everyone's going to be happy, and no arguments, and it's just not that way. I think when you think about a blended family, you're thinking about your core unit. Well, you have to consider there's two other sets of families too. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people involved that you have to take into consideration. Like that just blows my mind when I have to plan events. Okay, well, what's this co-parent doing, and then what's that
Wow.
co-parent
Didn't
doing?
think about that.
Oh, it is. It's almost like your organizational skills kick in. I mean, it is, when you have a blended family, yes, you want your core unit to be blended and be peaceful, but that's something too that you have to really talk to your partner. How do they parent?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have the same values and beliefs? And how do you handle siblings that don't necessarily get along all the time? That can kind of be a challenge as well, because it is very difficult when your family is not getting along with the other family. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I
it
can
can
only
be
imagine.
it can be a challenge. But again, it's you're evolving. You have growing pains in the beginning. Everyone's kind of learning each other, like you said, trying to create some normalcy, family
Mm-hmm.
norms, family rules, expectations. And then also you have to realize it's not the same maybe in the other co-parents' house. Maybe they have different.
Yeah.
So you have to really have like you saying grace for the children, because they may have to be a certain way in your home, but then they may have a different set of rules
Yeah,
in
I
the
was gonna bring that up. Like that has to be difficult not only for the parents but for the children as well.
yes.
So yeah.
Yes. And so when they're younger, it can be kind of confusing. You have to be very
Hmm.
patient. But at the same time, I found co parenting with my ex, I would get upset because he wasn't on the same page as I was. So
Hmm.
that took a little time to get through, to get on the same page. I really feel like, with my situation, I was I've always had a great relationship with my bonus son's mother. We've always been able to talk, and we're Facebook friends, and we go to each other's family events and all that. I
That's
think,
awesome.
yeah, I love it. And even like my bonus son, he sees me and his mom getting along together great, and that's a great feeling. Um,
Mhm.
I haven't always had that on my ex side. That's been a journey, and that's been a journey of 6 years, and we're like finally on the same page now. We finally can have birthdays and events together now. Um,
Awesome.
yes, that's been a major triumph this year. But
Mhm.
again, it's been a journey. It hasn't been always easy, but there is hope. And if people are working together, because in the end, you want to be happy, you want your children to be happy. That's the main goal of life, right? So
Yeah.
that's really what you got to take into consideration. What's our goal? Let's be a happy blended family. Let's communicate. Let's be on the same page. These babies, we want
Mhm.
our babies to be healthy and happy and be not uncomfortable growing up because their parents can't co-parent together. It's just not,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
So tell me this. So I know you both talked about like how it was and having those expectations or not really having expectations because you wasn't sure what it looked like going in. Did you all like sit down and have conversations together before going in with your mates, or was it just like we're gonna roll up our sleeve and we're gonna get in there and whatever comes our way, we're gonna kind of make sure we take care of it or tackle it?
With my husband, it's interesting. We didn't explicitly talk about like expectations, but just in general conversations about the children, we would, just say, well, I like things to go this way, or I like things to go that way. What I
Mhm.
realized in hindsight is that my husband doesn't have the experience of a blended family. And his sort of expectation it was initially, when I have the children, it's what I want. It's all
Mhm.
about what I want. He wasn't taking into consideration their experiences outside of our home, which they spend most of their time with their
Mhm.
moms,
Yeah.
and so along the way, he's pulled away from that. But it took some time to actually get there. If I could do it all over again and wave a magic wand and see through all of these, hurdles and loopholes, we would have sat down and we'd have probably had a, professional mediator and wrote out some bylaws. But obviously, as Contessa pointed out, the relationships
Yeah.
are constantly evolving. So I don't know that there would have been great benefit to having such a formal conversation or formal process in the beginning because it's constantly changing. And I like
Mhm.
to think of having a healthy blended family in two ways: flexibility, as well as really thinking about, okay, it's not about me, and trying to always consider that, yes, I feel this way and my feelings are valid. However,
Mhm.
our goal is the children.
correct.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. What about you, Contessa? Any type of formal meeting or anything before you all kind of got together?
There was no formal meeting, but what I loved about Chad was that, one, he was a father who was very involved with his son. It just, to me, I felt like he could really relate with my family. We did, talk about values, how he disciplined, how he expects children to, behave in the house and outside of the house. I really related to his values. And we didn't have a formal discussion, but again, along the way of developing a relationship, you kind of understand what that person is about. And, just being together when the children first met, it's really funny. It was during Christmas time. And
Oh wow. Okay.
they were so young. So Nico might have been 6. They were both 6 years old.
Mhm.
Now, just recently, Nico will explain the story. He will say, I didn't realize, CJ, when I first met him during Christmas, like what all was going on. But he
Mhm.
actually says it was like a gift. Like he looks at it
Oh, I
like
love
it's
that.
a Christmas gift. So these children, they practically have known each other half their lives. So they've grown up together. So they really they feel like they are like real brothers and sisters. So it's just it's been such a it's very organic how they came together. We
That's
didn't
good.
force we didn't force anything on them. And you have to also understand that my partner didn't come in to replace their dad. I didn't come
Right.
in.
That's good. That's a good
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
I didn't come in to replace CJ's mom. I mean, we understand every person has their role to play in, and we respect each other as a family. Like they know Chad is not his dad, but he's like a mentor. He's a guy. He's there for them. So everybody's not trying to overstep their boundaries with the role of parent and co-parent. So
Great
um,
approach.
yeah.
Contessa, you but that I think that was key right there is to honor the roles that you play in the children's lives. And again, because I grew up in a blended situation or a blended family, and I saw my parents and my co-parents um, honoring those roles, I think that that was probably one of the easiest things for me. It
Mhm.
was challenging, however, maybe for my husband, because his mentality was when they're with me, it's, my way. It's,
Hmm.
let's not consider everything else. And so I think he kind of expected me to be the mom to the boys that I was to Ileani, to take on that same role, to take on, that same level of authority, for lack of a better way to describe it. And
Hmm.
now he sees how I've just like pulled away. There are times when I can step up. There are times when I say, hey, babe, you need to talk to them about X, Y, and Z, because I'm conscious now of the
Yeah.
fact that I have a role. And while, yes, we have family norms and yes, there are expectations, I also have to realize that I am respecting those expectations and upholding those norms from the role that I play. And being able to partner with my husband and doing that has been, I think, the key to really nurturing authentic relationships with my boys. They come
Yeah.
in, like they'll be here tomorrow. They come in on Friday and they're like, they call me Mimi. Hey, Mimi, and they'll tell me random things. And they've gotten to the point where now, they'll tell me little things that they don't tell him. And I'll say, hey, did you say X, Y, Z? And it calls. It was like, no. But that's for me affirmation that giving them the space and being comfortable in my role, it
Mhm.
has been key to just fostering those relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're all moms, so we get it. And your baby in the background, that's what it's all about. Mom talk live.
I was like, I gave her a Reese's
No.
cup. That bribe is ended.
It's ended. We had a on our last week show, we had someone's daughter that got in the camera. It's all good. We're all moms here. We get it. So before we take a short break, I want to ask you, like, you don't have to share all, or maybe not the biggest, but what were some of the challenges that you went through? Because I will say, from if you're not experienced a blended family or have been, a part of one, we just rely on TV, right? So you see the movies, and the biggest thing that you always see in the movies is the kids. Not that the kids don't get along, but they don't get along with the stepdad or the stepmom. Like typically, that's all you see in the movies, right? And they like having schemes and doing little things to kind of get the person out of the way, get them out of the house, thinking, mom is going to get back with their dad, etc., etc. So tell us realistically, beyond the movies, like what are some of the challenges that, just being honest and transparent, what are some of the challenges that you do face as a blended family?
I think for me, sometimes the children can maybe feel like maybe I'm being more biased to my kids compared to Chad's children or Chad's child. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to, treat you have to try to treat each child, very fair. So
Yeah.
you don't have them feeling, well, she's only ganging up on me or she's only taking his side or
Mm-hmm.
so I really try to get their input. So during family dinners, we'll have a discussion like what can we do to make things better? How are you
Mm-hmm.
feeling? What is something that you want to improve in our house? Like I really want to hear their opinion because I feel like children sometimes they feel like they're not heard. because they just
Mhm.
have to follow our rules and be disciplined. But it's like really when you're in a blended family and you really want to have a cohesive, healthy family, you really got to listen to your children. And 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 my bonus son has been honest with me. He's like, well, I feel, maybe sometimes you take his side more than mine, and I didn't realize he was feeling that way. But
Mhm.
because we're so open about it, we have these discussions, so it really helps me see what I'm doing, and it can help me change the behavior. And then he also respects me because I'm listening to him, and I value that, and he values, like, wow, he can see that there is change, and like you said, we're evolving. And then I can also have the same relationship with him and say, well, I really feel like you're doing this. How about taking a step back, and maybe can you work on this too? So it's
Mhm.
just being open and honest. I never got that as a child. Like, it was like basically my mom was her way or the highway. We had no input. So I really feel like getting the children's input and just really like trying to hear them out, and let them know, like, look, you're valued. I value
Mhm.
your opinion. Let's work on this, because no one is perfect. We all make mistakes, but as long as we can discuss it and figure out a plan, and make good change, then I think we're showing our children that there is a way to be cohesive and agreeable and kind. So
Yeah, so I love that. So, because that's one of the things that I wouldn't think about. And I guess when I think about not necessarily other children that I'm raising in my home, but when I think about a friend coming over or another family member, I won't. So you always consciously try to treat them fair, right? But naturally, as you know, a child being your child, you may some I don't know, maybe sometimes see things differently, or just the natural instinct of it being your child. So that's a really good point that you brought up, because I can see that being a challenge and you having to work really hard to make sure that that's not something that appears to the other child.
exactly.
So yeah, that's really good. But I love what you say, that you all have the open communication and conversations to say, okay, how am I doing? Like,
Hmm.
and then you go back and check your own behavior and say, okay, well, I need to do different things so that he feels included or feels the same. Love it, love it, love it. So yeah, great. What about you, Sarinthia?
I would say that issue of fairness was probably a challenge for us as well. To the point that even with one of the co-parents, one of the moms, we had to have a conversation about this issue of equity. She was big on equity. She felt like every time one child got something, the other one had to have the exact same thing. And what I said to her is, that's not equity. Because when you're thinking about what equity is, it's about being impartial. And fairness to a 4-year-old is not fairness to a 13-year-old. And so
Good
I
point.
always try to consider, you know, what I'm doing from a perspective of, is it what the child needs, as opposed
Mhm.
to I'm just going to, disingenuously say, if one person gets a popsicle, all three of them get a popsicle. And
Mhm.
so that took some working through, because it was constant complaints, and about, well, you're not being equitable. We're being fair, and fairness is the heart of equity. And so
Mhm.
now, though, we've gotten to a point, because the child is happier, the child is more content, that there are less complaints, because he's the first to say, well, Miss Mimi made Ellie go to bed at 9 o'clock on a Friday. She let her stay up later, but she told me I could watch TV in my bedroom until 10. As long as I made sure that the volume was not too loud and I wasn't too loud, and I stayed in bed. And so he's okay with that now. And in
Mhm.
other instances where, it may have in prior situations been perceived as not being fair. And so that was
Yeah.
probably one of the challenges for us. And then another challenge for us was also really thinking about schedules.
Hmm.
There were so many times that, like, we just canceled family things because we couldn't get everybody on the same schedule.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I finally said that we're family, and things happen, but the world doesn't stop because one person
Mhm.
can't be involved. And so once we had that conversation, and I just said, no, one person can't come, that's fine, we're still doing this. The family doesn't stop because one person can't be involved. I began to see, more of an intentional effort by both parties to say, oh, so you all have this plan, let me rearrange my plan. And so those are
Mm-hmm.
probably two challenges for us very early on, that schedule and this idea that, we have to be fair to all of the children and getting to a place of realizing that, well, fairness doesn't mean the same. Fairness means
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I am supporting and responding to the individual needs of the child.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. That was really good. And then I can't even imagine the scheduling. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'll be like overwhelmed and stressed out sometimes trying to do just my own house. So trying to make sure everybody's on one accord in multiple homes, like, ooh, y'all are the real MVPs,
Yes.
okay? So we're going to take a short break and then we're going to be back. And when we come back, ladies, I want you to talk to the ones who have just entered into the blended families, the ones who are in a blended family and they're having challenges like ones that you mentioned, or maybe some other challenges, the ones who are single now, but they do want to be married and they may potentially be in a blended family. Let's talk about some of the tips and some of the triumphs that you all can share with them so that they can walk away inspired. So we'll be back right after this. I am so excited to host Momscape 2022. I know my team has to be excited as well. Look, y'all, we have been in a hotel room hosting our events for the last 2 years, resetting the room multiple times during the weekend to accommodate our moms. We're not going to have to do any of that in this new, beautiful conference center. Super excited. The space is super dope. It's going to take place in Atlanta, Georgia, in this beautiful conference center. There has been a multi-million-dollar renovation just completed. There's a restaurant on site. There's an indoor pool. There's an outdoor pool. There's a fitness center. The conference center is over 30,000 square feet. Now, we are not going to take up all of that space. Just not quite yet. Soon, but not yet. But we will need a lot of that space to be able to serve our moms in this ultimate escape. This is where our luxury accommodations for our moms from all over the world is going to take place as well. Look, Momscape was designed to provide a place for moms all over the world to run away to so that they can learn, they can level up with our life-changing workshops. They can find a peace of mind. They can meet new moms and have fun. Momscape is all about the fun. We're going to have a pool party. We got opening sessions. We got dynamic workshops. We have some dynamic speakers lined up. We have a vendor fair. Listen, at our vendor fair, you're not just going to be able to buy and purchase products. We're going to have resource vendors there too that is going to help you level up in your life as well as help your kids level up as well. We have a 3-part formal that's going to include a red carpet, a formal dinner, a 90s after party. Y'all not going to be able to get me off the dance floor. We also have some special guests lined up to be with us as well. Can't forget about our Mom Talk Live as we close it out on Sunday. I am so excited. You do not want to miss this amazing 3-day event. VIP and regular admission tickets do go on sale February 6th, but be the first to know by going online right now, clicking the link, and signing the interest list. Do that today. Grab your mama friends, and I will see you in Momscape 2022. All roads lead to June 10th and through the 12th, 2022, Momscape 2022. You have to be there.
So, Contessa, I'm sure we probably have some of the same tips, but if I could think about a tip for someone who may be a single parent, desiring or planning to get married, and knowing that they will at some point form a blended family, one of those tips, or maybe my first tip,
Mhm.
would be to just be honest with each other, be honest about expectations, and then be open to hearing, not just listening, but hearing the other person's point of view. Because my experience has been that that's really what has been the glue to hold our family together,
Mhm.
and to create some sort of peace and happiness for us. It's just, being honest and being open. And that doesn't always mean, warm and fuzzy feelings. Sometimes that's those uncomfortable feelings. So that would probably be my first tip for someone who is a single parent, and just knowing that at some point they will have their own blended families.
Yes, I totally agree. I think another good tip for me is that, it's not a race. It's like a marathon. It takes time to figure out your new normal and adjustments. It takes time to work with co-parents, and to establish what our routines are with them too. I remember long time ago, I would get upset with my ex. I would just be so mad, and I would talk to
Mhm.
my mom. I'm like, he doesn't understand, and she would always tell me, she's like, just pray for his happiness. Because, and I looked at mom like, what do you mean pray for his happiness? He's not doing me right. And she's like, no, if you pray for his happiness, it will make him be happy, and when he's happy, he's gonna be good towards you, and you guys will be able to work things out and work together. And I started doing that, and Lord and behold, I mean, it over the years, our relationship has really changed because, you want to be happy, and you want to co-parent and be happy together, co-parenting, but you really got to, like, pray for that, for your other co-parent, for their
Absolutely.
happiness. Yep.
Absolutely. I think another tip that I would offer, maybe those that are already in blended families and are struggling or seeking just some type of direction,
Mhm.
is the idea of consistency. And that means, in spite of how I'm feeling in the moment and what has transpired and all of the other dynamics, I have to be consistent in my approach. I have to be consistent in our agreed upon norms and routines,
Yep.
but I also have to be consistent in how I respond to both the co-parent as well as the children.
Yes.
And that has been key for me, because there have been, situations where I had a right to be mad, and
Right.
they probably had a right to be mad too. But I had to step outside of that and say, Cynthia, this is not about you.
Right.
Because once the thing is said, or, once it's done, it's so hard to
Mhm.
overcome that. So just being consistent in your approach, and consistent um, in upholding your family norms is probably key to keeping some normalcy and keeping some contentment in a blended family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another key also is to try, if you can, get on the same schedule.
Yeah.
For me and Chad, our schedule in the beginning was kind of the opposite, and it was very challenging to work out, extracurricular activities and family events, birthdays, things like that, and holidays for the school holidays.
Mhm.
So what we ended up doing is we started to be on the same schedule, and it actually is really good because now, we have a date night. Now all the kids go to their parents' house, and so now
Love it.
we're kid free on every other weekend. So it's really nice to have that consistency with the schedule, and then the kids look forward to being together as well. Like beforehand, one child would be at home, the other children would be somewhere else. I was like, well, where are they? I'm bored. So it really worked out when we're on the same schedule. The children love it. They're together, and then we have our date night too. So it can really work out to everyone's benefit.
Absolutely. It goes back to the idea of flexibility. And the scheduling thing was probably at some point the thing that I was least flexible in my approach about, because I was I'm kind of type A. I'm somewhere on the borderline type A. And
Me
so,
too.
yeah. And so having a schedule and to know that it was interrupted by something that I couldn't fix or something that I couldn't control was
Yes.
hard.
Mhm.
And so the more I started to pull back, I realized the more things started to work out. So absolutely, just honoring those schedules and being open and flexible there is a great tip.
You nailed it on the head, Cynthia. Like I was very like type A too, like controlling about, I have a plan and it has to be this
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
You have to let all of that go when it
Mhm.
comes to having multiple children from different backgrounds and families. You really have to be flexible. You have to be okay with plans not working out and just, be more calm and relaxed about it because things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. Um, I think you just nailed it. You have to be super flexible and just patient and just give everyone in the family a little grace.
Yes, that term grace keeps coming up. And I would say overall, whether you're considering embarking on a marriage that'll create a blended family or you're already in the midst of, a blended family, grace is probably the one thing. If I could say I could wave a magic wand and give to everyone, I would say, you've got to extend it over and over again, even when you feel like the children don't deserve it, your spouse doesn't deserve it, the co-parent doesn't deserve it. And I say that because when I got to that point, um, I developed a level of peace and contentment and
Mhm.
confidence in my role as a bonus mom that I hadn't experienced before. And now when things come up, yeah, I still get a little irritated. I still, I'm still Corinthia, somewhere type A, somewhere between type A and B. But I naturally, it just instinctively, I take a step back and say, okay, so what's the bigger picture here? Like I
Yeah.
adjusted my mindset and the way I approach those things. So I would say
Absolutely.
grace would be, the one thing that it takes some work. And as I shared with my own bonus mom, this has been a character building experience for me. But I
Ooh,
Ooh, you
yes,
said
that's
it. You said it.
good.
yeah,
And
right.
great and
Character
grace to
building.
you as well, right? So
Yeah,
you mentioned great, like giving yourself grace
yeah,
because
Yes.
like you said, you are building character and you're going through things and there's new experience. Because I can imagine that being a blended family when they were younger than when they're teenagers,
yeah.
like it's totally different, right? So
Yeah.
giving yourself grace throughout the journey. So I love that. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Y'all shared some good tips. The only other question I had was like, are there any resources that you would say, like any books you? I know you talked about Oprah, so that's always a resource.
Love
So,
Oprah.
did you read any articles or listen to any shows, any YouTube clips, any books that you can think of that you would want to share out there, or was it more like the prayer and grace and scheduling, like some of the practical things?
For me, I think I sort of avoided books and I wouldn't say others' opinion, but maybe lots of advice because what I
That's
have
good.
come to realize is that context matters and every kid is coming from a different background and there are different set of dynamics and what I was really afraid of is developing this picture that or going back to this picture that I initially had in my mind going
Mhm.
into
Mhm.
this. I wanted the picture to really be reflective of happiness for our family. And so now what I like to do is talk to my husband after the kids leave on the weekends, during the middle of the week when we're a bit distanced from um, just the experiences and what has happened. Because I think in that space that we give each other, we have a chance to just reflect and to think about, okay, so going forward, this is how we'll approach certain things, or I should have considered this, or maybe I didn't do that. And so obviously prayer guides that. Gotta
Mhm.
stay grounded because I'll go back to Corinthia. That's gotta be my in a heartbeat. But that's kind of been my experience. I'm sure that there's like a wealth of resources out there.
Mhm.
But again, because I entered the blended family with sort of this model picture, I was really, really
Yeah.
leery of going to like going back to the textbook picture. I really wanted, authentic experiences and, just to
That's
be able
good.
to talk about real life, like not what the book says, but this is real life.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. That's good. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
I think
And oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I think for me, I didn't really read books. Sometimes I would grab an article here or there on the web just to kind of see, okay, maybe a little guidance. But I think for me, prayer was good. Being open and honest, having these conversations, having tough
Mhm.
conversations with my partner, having conversations with the children, one on one and together.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't want to discuss, with one child out in the open with the other children. You want to keep it one on one and consider
Mhm.
their feelings. I think too, having other families that are blended families you can
Love that.
connect with, they
Yeah.
really made you feel like you're not alone. Like actually, these issues come up in a blended family. You just never knew that other people were experiencing the same
Yeah.
and how do they get through the struggle or challenges? Maybe they may
Mhm.
have advice that I wasn't thinking about or consider. So I think having other friends that have blended families, that's very helpful too. You're not alone. And every
Love it.
family is different. Every child is different. So you're constantly evolving and changing, just like they're developing and growing. So we're all learning.
Yeah.
We're all learning together.
So it seems like you all had some growing pains, but it seems like, ladies, you have done an amazing job. So I thank you so much for coming on sharing. So we did have a question from YouTube. Hey, Tan and Co Hair Salon. So thank you so much for joining us live. So the question is, teens tend to be more isolated. How do you merge them together? Great question.
Oh,
I would say I'm experiencing just a little bit of that now because my children range from like 4 years old to a few days shy of 13. And so that's a huge range when you think about interests and then just, all of the things that a teen goes through. One of the things that we're consistent in doing is having family time. And so they know that there comes a point in the day when the TVs go off or if they're on, we're all watching the same thing. Even if it's not your
Mm-hmm.
preference, we're all there together. And so one of the things that I try to do is honor space because everybody needs a little downtime. Even mama goes in the bathroom and locks the door for a few minutes. And so I'm okay with that. But then I'm also consistent in making sure that there's always some type of family activity that we do, even if it's something as simple as having a hot chocolate bar and letting them or making blueberry muffins or we'll pick a restaurant that one of them wants to go to. I'll say, hey, go on your phone and find us a restaurant to go to. We can even get takeout, and they do those types of things. And I think that's been one of the ways that I've been able to sort of manage the teenage stage is just realizing that that's part of being a teen, that they do
Yeah.
want a little space, but even a 4-year-old wants space, so that's okay. But in our family, we have family time. And so everybody's going to be actively present during family time. And I think because, I allow that space, they're okay with being present during family time.
Love it. Great suggestion. Awesome.
well, I think for us, our family, I have a 14-year-old and an almost 14-year-old. So they're really getting in their little teen mindset right now. And then I have a preteen, and then they're very active in sports and Girl Scouts. So it's kind of it's very difficult sometimes when you're very active with sports to
Mhm.
be together. But when we are family time, we always have family dinner. The phones are put away. We're not allowed to have phones at the table. That's our time to kind of talk together and see what's been going on throughout the day. We also love game nights. We
Oh,
do
yeah,
game nights.
yeah,
And that I'm typically will buy a lot of board games because yeah, they love to play digital video games, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just not me. That's not my thing at all. So I tend to do like let's do more board games where we're sitting around the table laughing, sharing, talking, and just having fun. So
Mm-hmm.
they love family game night. We do family movie night. I'm trying to do more one on one as well. Now that they're getting
hmm
older, they kind of need a little bit more one-on-one attention. That's kind of hard to do. So if one child is at a sport activity, I'm taking another child, maybe, go for a walk or go take them out to do, go to the mall or do something like one-on-one time. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of important too. I'm starting to implement that as well. So
I love that, Contessa.
Awesome.
My team, almost team, loves to put things together, and I'm an Amazon sort of fanatic. I buy plenty of stuff that he can put together, but I'll say, "Hey, look what I got this week," and he's so excited, to put it together, and we'll sit there and do it together. Or the middle son, he likes to go places. And so if I'm just going to Walmart to pick up an order, I'll say, "Hey, you want to go with me?" And it's just me and him. And all we're doing is popping the
Yeah.
trunk and waiting for, and so I'm learning that, as you pointed out, that alone time, even if it's just something really simple,
mhm.
um, is important. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Love
especially
it.
at nighttime. I know they're getting a little bit older, but I still tuck them into bed,
Yeah.
say goodnight. I say a little prayer with each of them. We talk a little bit about what was something that good happened today, what was something that was, bad or a challenge. So just, getting them to just be open and talk.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, yeah, I think it's very helpful to kind of get in their mindset and figure how to problem solve something. I always tell them, if, we can always problem solve anything. So I
Yeah.
just think with letting your children talk to you, um, you can kind of get into their minds and see what's going on, how to help them.
Yeah. Well, ladies, you have dropped a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. You have spoke from truth. So thank you so much for sitting down with this candid conversation with me for another episode of Mom Talk Live. If you are joining us live, thank you so much. If you have shared or tagged another mom, thank you for joining us. If you want to see any of the other episodes where we sit down and have candid conversations, please go to YouTube, Tramika Crowd. You can find all of the episodes there. So I have one last question. So our fun question of the week. It's a would you rather. I was like going through some would you rather's with my son, so he helped me come up with this. So the fun question is, would you rather do household chores every day for the rest of your life, or have someone else do it every day for the rest of your life, but they do it in a way that you don't like?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna go with the latter, because I have I have learned to relinquish like my fixed ideas about how certain things can be, and I've learned to prioritize what's important. And so
Mm-hmm.
just experiencing this, having a cleaning service and not leaving them detailed directions on how to place the toothbrush in the cup has been so freeing for me. And it's clean and it gets done, and I'm okay with that. So I'll have to go with the latter, because it frees up time for me to do things that are important for my family.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Contessa?
I don't know, because sometimes it kind of helps me. It's almost kind of like therapy to me. Sometimes I get in the zone, like I put on music when I'm
My
doing,
husband's the same way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do like organizing and cleaning because it just makes me feel satisfied. There's a level of satisfaction. I got something done. And then also I delegate to the kid. Now the kids are doing more work now too. So I don't have it all on me. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
good balance where the kids are, they're folding clothes, they're taking
Yeah.
out the dishes, the trash. So it's not all on me now anymore. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's fair.
That's good. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to go with the latter as well. Only because I'll just redo just the certain things that I'm particular about, and I'm gonna leave all the rest. But it does give me more time to do everything. And who wants to do chores every day for the rest of their life? I don't. Contessa, when you get done with your house, those things
I
that you
don't
like
have
to
that
do,
many. I don't have that
you
many.
can come over here. You come over here and do those things as well. Well, ladies, thank you again so much for sitting down with me and having this candid conversation centered around blended families. Like I said, I know that you spoke from truth and experience. You gave lots of tips and strategies, and those things are going to help moms who are currently in blended families or who may be entering into. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who has watched live, and thank you for watching the replay. You all have a great night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good
Good
night.
night.